everybody. So in this video, I wanted to bring my good friend George, Disney Family Man 23 on to discuss Annette Funicello. It's been 8 years since we unfortunately lost Annette, and I wanted to kind of do a tribute video and just talk about and celebrate her life and her work. And George, I want to welcome you back, man. Long time no see, right?
Yeah, I mean it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but I want to welcome you and thank you for coming on. Real quick before we get started, if you can tell everyone at home where they can find you.
Absolutely. I'm George, also known as Disney Family Man 23. That's my YouTube channel. Definitely check it out. I have content usually daily or sometimes a couple days in between, but definitely have some content on the horizon coming out. And you could also follow me on Twitter at Disney George, and also part of the Grand Circle Tour podcast on iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher.
Perfect. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's celebrate Annette Funicello. So I wanted to start off, from the beginning, basically. And so Annette was the only Mouseketeer of the entire 1950s Mickey Mouse Club that was handpicked by Walt, right? And I wanted to get your opinion on this. Now, I think it's kind of like not surprising at all that, of course, like the person that Walt handpicks becomes like the megastar, because Walt obviously had a really good eye in terms of knowing what the public wants. But what are your thoughts on Walt Disney handpicking Annette and the trajectory of her stardom?
I always took that story as Walt being Johnny Carson. It's like when you got called over to sit next to Johnny, you made it. You made your mark. You're going to be a huge star. You're going to make your mark in Hollywood. And that's honestly what it was like. It was, if Walt Disney chose you, he saw something in you. And the type of person that Walt was, he was such a visionary and an innovator. And like, he knew what he wanted and he knew talent. And when he looked at Annette, he basically saw a star being born right before his eyes. And he knew there was something special about her that he may not have noticed like what, but he just knew something was going to come positive out of it. And I think that just made his decision much easier to say, hey, I want this kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also do want to mention, from what I understand, you are Italian. Is that correct?
I am.
And I'm half Italian, and Annette is Italian. So, we're celebrating the Italians today, right?
Paisan to Paisan. So it's
let's have a cannoli, right? Let's have a cannoli. But yeah, I mean, she was really like the first like Disney child megastar. I think she sort of like set that whole thing in motion for like other child megastars, like, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, Miley Cyrus. Annette really pioneered that Disney child star, right?
She really did. And honestly, as much of a Disney fan as I am, going back, looking at the old Mickey Mouse shows, like I can remember, some of the others, but like always to me, Annette stood out. Like she was always the one that I could remember from the older days of the Mickey Mouse Club. And she was just one of those, her voice, it was so distinct. And she's one of those people that when you hear her voice, even though that was like back in the day, that I can identify to say that is Annette Funicello.
Right. Exactly. She had that star power, that draw where she was so iconic, where like, yeah, you recognized her voice, her style, her look, which is also iconic. Now, she eventually moved on, from the Mickey Mouse Club, and then she started, Walt Disney had her in like feature films. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorites actually is The Shaggy Dog. Have you seen The Shaggy Dog?
Yes.
Great movie.
Awesome movie. It's a classic. I love it. And I think it's just one of those things where Walt saw something in her that he said that, to go beyond just the Mickey Mouse Club, beyond just that she can act. She has a real talent that she could bring to his live action films. And kind of going back a little bit, while she was actually starting the Mickey Mouse Club, that's also what introduced Walt to the Sherman Brothers, because essentially that was the first job that they ever had for the company, was to write a song for Annette, which was Tall Paul.
Interesting. Interesting.
So essentially that's how they got introduced to Walt. They got introduced to the company, and it, just rolled into, her singing Tall Paul, Pineapple Princess. Like it transitioned into that genesis of, at the time Annette was starting her career, it was also starting the career for the Sherman Brothers at the Walt Disney Company.
Incredible. An incredible era. Wow. Absolutely incredible. I've done a few of like the Walt Disney Studio tours in Burbank, and they recently, upon her passing in 2013, they renamed or dedicated Stage 1 to Annette. So you see her name on there and everything. I thought that was really cool too,
It is, and I think it's a part of the history where to have your name imprinted on that studio is just an accomplishment, whether you know it or not. It's just to know that now us as fans, that if we ever visit the studio, that we can look at that soundstage and say, that's where Annette performed. That's
Yes.
where she was. And it's like that resignation to say, wow, I'm looking at this piece of history.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really hope that eventually one day Annette gets a window on Main Street, because she was more tied, technically to like the TV side, the entertainment side of the Walt Disney Company. But I think the Mickey Mouse Club really played a big role, when it came out in 1955, really played a big role in that whole promotion of Disneyland and everything. And I think it'd be great for Annette to get a little window, a little nod on Main Street eventually.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, that with the original Mickey Mouse Club, or even how they did with the Mickey Mouse Club in the 90s, they involved the kids so much into the park, where they would have like TV specials and holiday promotions where the kids would perform actually in the park. So I think, as you said, it has a lot of that tie-in, that Annette is connected to the parks without her being a heavy presence in the park. But I still think, as you said, I do think that she should have a dedicated window on Main Street.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be fantastic. And you're right. You saw, the Mickey Mouse Club kids at Disneyland a lot, promoting Disneyland, and even into like the 60s. There, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, comment below if I am, but I think it was the Disneyland After Dark special with Walt Disney, where an older Annette, she's, I think it was like the early 60s, performed like a song, and she had the big band behind her, and she was dancing, and she was a little older than she was in the Mickey Mouse Club. I believe it was the early 60s, but it was great. It was so incredible. And she had a huge role in that park in those early years.
Yeah, she really did. And it's like one of those things that, she was always known for, that groovy type of, dancing, beach party, on the scene sort of thing. And that's what she became. She became this little girl with mouse ears to, the on the scene beach party type of girl with Frankie Avalon. And the two of them together in Beach Blanket Bingo was phenomenal. That it's just, because I'm an old soul. I just love that style. I love like the 50s and the 60s, where, the women have the big hairdo and the guys.
Big hair like me?
Yeah, there you go. You're sporting the theme there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Well, and that's a great segue, actually, because I was actually going to start talking about the Beach Blanket, movies, because that was another big era for Annette. I think she did like 5 or 6 of those, right? And now those weren't Disney, but it was a big part of Annette's life.
Yeah, it was pretty much her way of showing that, coming out of like that childlike quality into adulthood, but she did it the respectful way. She didn't have to, be, lashing out and saying, hey, I'm an adult type of thing. But she took on an adult role, but in a very subtle way, and a very classy way. She was a very classy woman. And,
Definitely.
and you could definitely see that even as a young child, she was very professional. she knew what she wanted. She went out for what she, what she wanted to do, and she succeeded in everything that her goal was set for.
Yeah, and it was interesting because when she approached Walt Disney, with this whole notion of her wanting to go into these beach movies, Walt Disney gave her the blessing, but said, "Hey, if you can please." Okay, if you could please not show too much skin, don't show your belly button or what have you. And Annette respected that. She respected Walt and said, "That's fine, Mr. Disney. I will honor that." And she did. When she did those beach movies, she was largely covered up, which I think was really, like you said, plays to her classiness and what a great person she was, where she would honor Walt's wishes like that. She didn't have to do that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just goes to show that, she had, as you had said, the respect to say, you know what, this man gave me my career. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be given these opportunities. So I should, give a little back, and you don't see that too much in the industry today.
No, you don't. You really, really don't. And she was a class act. And it's hard when you're a child actor, right? And we've seen this so many times, unfortunately, how tragically some of these child actors, the path they go down, it's hard. It's a hard life to live, being thrust into this world where you're constantly being photographed and monitored. And Annette really, it's incredible. I don't know how she did it. I mean, she maintained all of it. She didn't go down any wrong path, or she was a strong woman. She was loyal to Walt and loyal to it was incredible how she maintained that over the years. It's very, very difficult to do.
It really is. It really is. And I think it was like during a time era where it was not necessarily like of how it is in today's time, because today's time is much different from back then, but it was starting to move in that transition to say, as a child actor, I have to prove a point. I have to prove that I'm an adult, so I'm going to do adult things. Everyone looks at me as this sweet, innocent child, and I'm not anymore. So what do I have to do? What do I have to show to say, hey, I'm an adult? And again, I may repeat this word constantly with her, but it resonates so well that she just did it in a very classy way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, have you had a chance to watch those Beach Blanket movies at all, or no?
I have seen Beach Blanket Bingo. Not recently, though, but I have seen, it was Beach Blanket Bingo, and I forget the other one. It was, I forget.
There were like 6 of them. I mean, there was like Muscle Beach Party, I think, as well.
What is it called?
I think there was Beach Blanket Bingo, and I think there was like Muscle Beach Party was one of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think, yeah. There's several of them that I have seen, and they're very quite funny. They were a little bit risque, back in the day.
For that.
Today you'd say, oh, that's very corny. But back in the day, it really, was risque for its time. But again, it did it in a very structural way.
Right. Right. Exactly. And Annette, as usual, handled herself very professionally and respectful, and that was fantastic. Now, so the Beach Blanket movies was really like the '60s era Annette, and then we kind of move into like the later years in like the '70s and into the '80s, and unfortunately, in the late '80s, early '90s is when she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and she made the official public announcement, I believe in 91 or 92, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. She had done it was either a movie or a special, sort of kind of like paying homage to her doing the Beach Blanket movies, where she was then singing and dancing on a beach. Well, she was coming down a ramp to go enter onto the beach. And the way that she was moving, the way she was dancing, a lot of people on the set never really seen her moving her body much differently. And it was like, honestly, she was like staggering and she couldn't hold herself up. Well, a lot of people were questioning, was she drunk? And a lot of times that it was in the tabloids of saying like, what's up with Annette? Why is she moving like this? Is she drunk? Is she high? Is she this? Is she that? And then that's when she had already kind of had an idea what it was, but she never announced it publicly until I believe it was, and don't quote me, if you know, comment down below. I think it was 91. I think it was 91 where she officially announced her MS diagnosis.
Wow. Wow. And then she struggled for many, many years. And I've read about her struggles with this horrible, horrible disease, and how, I think it was like in 2004, she lost the ability to walk. A few years later, she lost the ability to speak. And then towards the end, she was completely, she couldn't move or anything. And it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic what that disease does to your body. On a personal experience, in 2017, okay, I had surgery, emergency surgery for my appendix. My appendix burst, and I was very sick from it, obviously. And they had to perform emergency surgery on me. And when they put me, the anesthesia, then when they put me to sleep, the muscle relaxer kicked in before the anesthesia. So I was kind of in this paralyzed state. I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, but I was completely conscious before I finally went under. But it was only for maybe 30 seconds. Now, that was only 30 seconds, and I was terrified. I couldn't move, speak, nothing. For 30 seconds, I was freaking out internally, right? Annette is an incredibly strong woman. She dealt with that same sort of experience for years. And I can't even imagine how she did it. She's an incredible woman to do that for years and years, where you're almost like trapped in your body. You can't talk or communicate or move. I couldn't even do it for 30 seconds. This woman did it for years. I mean, it's crazy. It's incredibly sad.
Now, there is an autobiographical TV movie. I forget what the film is called, where she actually plays herself. And it's more so of the story of her life and everything. I think, do not quote me, I know that there was a TV movie, but I don't think it was the one that she was in. It was called A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, the Annette Funicello story. But I think that had actors portraying the real people. But this one, she was portraying herself, and you could actually see the transition, that she could still talk, but she couldn't walk. She was confined to like a bed or a wheelchair, and you could see her, like, her nerves shaking and everything, and her voice staggering, but she was still able to perform in this movie. And I think she was either talking to her, I don't know, it was a young child. I don't know if it was a fan or what have you, but there was this Mickey Mouse plush doll in the room that was present, that they personally put there as far as her telling her story through her point of view. And I just think it was a great way, and I think it was one of the last projects that she personally done before she just went retired and it slowly ate at her body, that the last scene was her sitting in her room with this Mickey Mouse plush doll. And I think what a way to kind of end it, in a sense, of her career, of where it began.
Right. Wow.
And sort of like how you were saying that, I even commend you for even the 30 seconds that you went through, because I don't even know what I would have done. But it's to know that you have something, a debilitating, crippling disease that you have no control over, that you sense a presence, that you're there, but you can't speak, you can't move, you can't talk, you can't walk, you can't eat, you can't drink. I mean, it's like you're frozen in time, but you're present in real life. I can't imagine how she did that.
For years and years and years. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It really is. It's heartbreaking. And I wanted to take this moment, actually. Annette Funicello had a what do you want to call it? A charity, so to speak, that actually, I'm going to give you the exact fund, the name and everything. It's called the Annette Funicello Research Fund for Neurological Diseases. And the website where you can make a donation for Annette's charity is actually the AnnetteConnection.com. I'm going to link it below. So check that out. If you can spare a few, do it. Go ahead, support it or share it or whatever. But this was Annette's website, and they do research on neurological diseases. So this is something that, you know, was very obviously close to Annette. So I want to share that down below. You'll see it I'll either have it in the description or the pinned comment, or maybe both. I'm not really sure, but I wanted to share that Annette Connection website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And honestly, every little bit counts. You know, it always helps. You know, you think that you can't make a difference with a few dollars, but every little bit helps. That could eventually lead to finding a cure or something that can help with the debilitating disease.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I wanted to read, before we close out today, I wanted to read a little something from former Disney CEO Bob Iger, which actually I found very touching. Let me just go ahead and share it, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So this is a statement that Bob Iger issued upon the passing of Annette Funicello in 2013. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you, and then we'll close out. But it says here, in a statement, Chairman and CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Bob Iger, said Annette Funicello, who died Monday, was and always will be a cherished member of the Disney family, synonymous with the word Mouseketeer, and a true Disney legend. The statement continues, she will forever hold a place in our hearts as one of Walt Disney's brightest stars, delighting an entire generation of baby boomers. With her jubilant personality and endless talent, Annette was well known for being as beautiful inside as she was on the outside, and she faced her physical challenges with dignity, bravery, and grace. All of us at Disney join with family, friends, and fans around the world in celebrating her extraordinary life. So I could not echo that statement from Bob Iger enough. And everyone here at Orange Grove 55, as well as we're at Disney Family on 23, echo the same. You know, we celebrate her life. She was an incredible human being.
She really was. And, you know, to have a statement, you know, written by the CEO himself of a company that started way before, to a person that started her career even before his time.
Yeah.
You know, it just shows how much of a legacy you leave behind, that, you know, that it continues, that even though she's presently not here with us, that, you know, her legacy, her career, her personality, everything can still continue on, you know, for many generations to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. Forever, we're you know, we like what they say in the Mickey Mouse Club. We hold our banner high. We will forever hold Annette Funicello's banner high. We love Annette, and you know, that's why I really wanted to do this video, because I just feel like it's always good to just share these stories and bring awareness to these incredible people, these Disney legends that we, you know, she passed away a long time ago now. I mean, we're talking, what, 8 years. And I just kind of want to bring a renewed awareness to her and her legacy and her life, because she was such an incredible human being. So, but I just wanted to give you the time now to kind of close out with any final thoughts on Annette, and also, you know, remind everybody where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just to echo what you said, there are certain people that come into this world that tend to touch upon, you know, the human race in a very distinct way, and she was one of them, and so was Walt Disney. And even a video that you and I had done back talking about the late great Howard Ashman.
Yes.
It's just like there are certain people that come into our lives that just make an impact, whether it's big, small, significant, just to one person that it makes a difference to. And Annette was one of those people. And it just shows how much of a strong human being she was, that she had this disease and literally fought through it as long as she possibly could up into the very end. And it just shows that not even just as a person, but what Walt had seen in her. And it really showed through this disease that it's like, this will not overcome me. As much as it'll take away from me, I will always be Annette Funicello.
Always, always. And she will always live on in our hearts, and she will always be a Disney legend. We'll always remember Annette Funicello, because she was an incredible, incredible human being. Now, if you can close out, George, and just remind everybody where they can find you at home so they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. Again, I'm George, also known as Disney Family Man 23. You could find me on YouTube under that same name, Twitter at Disney George, and also I keep on forgetting, you could also find me on Instagram also as Disney Family Man 23. I always forget about that one. And also on the Grand Circle Tour podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, and YouTube. So definitely find me, and I think the best way to say this is come along, sing the song, and join the Jamboree.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. And thank you all for watching. Comment below with your favorite Annette memories, favorite Annette, movies or whatever she's done. Comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, George, for coming on. And thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.